Good evening, everyone. We will give folks just another minute to join us and then we will get started. All right. Well, for the sake of time, I know we may have a few folks join us, and that is fine, but we will go ahead and kick off our third, I believe, Tiger Talk webinar of the series. My name is Casey Ford, and I serve as a director in the Gantt Center for Student Experience. And a large part of my role is supporting you all as parents and families. So we know that you are hearing a lot about supporting your students' transition and all of the information and resources that come with that time of life, um, which is super important. And we're going to do some of that tonight. But we also acknowledge that you all, as the folks supporting those students, are having your own experience of that transition, and that you are a big part of what is a super critical time in the life of your family. And so we want to make sure that you feel like you have the people, places, and resources to feel successful in knowing the information that you want to know for yourself, but also that you feel like you've got that for your student. And so we do that through a number of ways, one of which is our Ready, Set, Roar experience. And maybe some of you have had the chance or will have the chance to join us on campus for that in-person experience. There's the virtual orientation platform that both you and your student have access to, which I imagine you've spent some time in. And then we have these. So we have this Tiger Talk series again, which is one of about 13 webinars that give us the chance to go a little bit more in depth, ask a little bit more questions, and really get some direct time with our wonderful campus partners who are here to do just that. And so tonight specifically, we are talking about transfer students and first generation students and their families. So what does it look like to transition to Clemson? Yes, but also what does it look like to find the support and the community that you, as well as your student, may be looking for in Clemson University? All right, so an overview of the evening. We will continue on here just a moment to get to know our presenters, so our staff members who have joined us to share about the work that they do here. They will present their content as we go along. You are welcome to ask questions throughout that time, and then you will be able to ask questions at the end of those presentations. We'll wrap up with some closing remarks and reminders. A few housekeeping things about Zoom webinar. I imagine many of you are more familiar with Zoom than you ever wanted to be at this point, but just wanted to quickly highlight a couple tools available to you all. So you'll notice that audio and video has been muted, so you should just be seeing us, the panelists. That is intentional, just so we can kind of keep those folks in the spotlight for our time together. You will also see a question and answer tool on your toolbar. It should be one of the options on the little toolbar on your screen. You may have to click that more button to find it. I would ask that you please use that tool specifically to submit any questions as we go along. So we don't have a great way to acknowledge the hand raise tool in this space. And then we will use the chat specifically to share out any resources, links, things that may go along with the content that we are sharing. So if you will use that question and answer feature, that ensures that all of us can see what you're submitting, and we can kind of tag team getting those answers back to you all as we go along. Last thing I will say is that you'll notice that this session is being recorded. So if you maybe have friends who weren't able to make this one, or you want to be able to come back and reference some content that you heard tonight, you will absolutely be able to do that. And so we'll make sure to send out these links through the chat, but we will publish this first on the Clemson Family Programs YouTube page. If you check out the playlist called 2026 Tiger Talks, that is where you can find each of these sessions. And then we will also send this through the Clemson Parent and Family Experience portal. So give us a couple days to kind of get things edited and uploaded, and then we will share that out through the portal for your viewing. All right, at this point, I will pass it over to our presenters to tell us who they are, starting with Cheyenne.
Hi everyone, my name is Cheyenne Strab. I am a graduate assistant for the Office of Transfer Programs, and yeah, I'm in our higher education program here at Clemson.
Oh, sorry. I don't know why we were like gonna go like when we first started. Sorry. Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Leticia Adelson, but you can call me Tia. I serve as the program director for our first program. I'm happy to be here with you all today.
Hello, everyone. So excited to be here with you all. My name is Michaela Scotland. I serve as the Assistant Director for Student Retention in the Gantt Center for Student Experience, and I am so excited to chat with you all and let you all know a little bit more about the Connections program.
Awesome. And kicking off our content is Cheyenne again.
Yeah, so I'm here today to talk to you about the Office of Transfer Programs and how we can support you here into your transition at Clemson and what transfer student success looks like with us. So, our team, we have Alexa Richards, who is the Director of Bridge and Transfer Programs. And then we have Michaela Crumley, who is the Associate Director of Transfer Programs. And then myself, I'm a graduate assistant. And then we have an incoming grad starting this summer. And to start us off, we'd like to give a little snapshot of what transfer looks like here at Clemson, because we hear often that students feel, like there aren't really that many transfers and it can feel kind of scary and overwhelming sometimes. So really start, by showing you, hey, transfers are everywhere. And truly, 1 in 4 students on Clemson's campus have transferred from other institutions. So it's really, like I said, they're everywhere and you can see them. You might not know, but there are other transfers here with you. We have 5,527 total transfers on campus as of now, and we have an 82.76 year graduation rate with a 3.24 average GPA at graduation. And our top majors of transfer students are listed here. And the number one is management, and then they're followed by psychology, financial management, parks, recreation, and tourism management, and biological sciences. So a little bit about our office. Our mission is to serve and engage transfer students throughout your Clemson experience. And we do this by collaborating with campus partners to do programming. We have resources and we just try to encourage community to ensure a smooth transition for new transfer students enrolling at Clemson. And I have listed a few ways that we do this. The first two are Transfer to Tiger and CUSG Transfer Council. These are our two student organizations that we have for transfer students specifically, and I'll touch more on those in a minute. We also offer transfer student success coaching. It's not advising, but we in our office have appointments available to where you can meet with me or one of our other staff members to just go over resources and help you get connected or find, something that you might have some gaps in. We also have the National Institute for the Study of Transfer Students. We celebrate Transfer Student Week, and this is just a week of programming and resources just to celebrate transfer students being on campus. And then we have the weekly Roar e-newsletter, which is mailed out every week with information, events, just things you should know, campus spotlights to, keep you um, up to date with what's happening on campus. And then our offices are in Vickery Hall. We are part of the Division of Undergraduate Learning. And then our Instagram is linked or listed so that you can follow us. As I mentioned, we have two student organizations. First is Transfer to Tiger. This is a peer mentor program where incoming transfers, mentees, are matched with an upper class transfer student, and they will be your mentor. They are matched based on reported academic career, personal um, interest to help you navigate Clemson's academic and social environment. They're really there to help you ease into Clemson, to get to know you, and help you have that build community on campus. Um, and like I said, we're focused on campus connections, and you're matched by majors, goals, and interest. Then we have Transfer Council, which is a branch of student government that advocates for transfer and bridge students. They are they have a philanthropy, the Alzheimer's Association, so they work to help support that, but they also help give transfer students academic and social support. once again to build community and ease transition into Clemson. And this is a little overview about transfer credit. At this point, we just kind of want to remind you that our office um, is not the one to reach out to. Well, you can, but like admissions really, it's processed through the Office of Admissions. So I encourage you to reach out to them at this point to make sure that things are smooth and transferring over correctly. And then if you were looking for off-campus housing, we just want you to know that Clemson has a partnership with the Office of Advocacy and Success. If you go on their website, you can see down here where it says find housing. You are able to um, browse through that partnership of off-campus housing that Clemson can help you ease into and see what is available around Clemson. And then we just want to emphasize the importance of getting involved. And one way to do this is looking on Tiger Quest. It is a online gateway where you can see all of the student organizations that we have here on campus. And you can browse and explore your interest and see what stands out to you. We have athletic organizations, sororities and fraternities, service organizations, academic organizations, and some other. There's really a lot out there. So we encourage you to look and get involved. And then these are some quick transition tips. Clemson is different from your previous institution, no matter if it's a 2 year or a 4 year. So we really encourage you to use the resources that are available because they're here to help you. We encourage you to explore your interests and passions once again by getting involved, but we also encourage internships, utilizing creative inquiry and co-ops, and doing research. And then we highly emphasized to not be afraid to step outside of your comfort zone and don't be afraid to ask for help because there's so many people here that are willing and want to help you. And then this is just our contact information if you need anything from us. And then we also have a QR code where if you are interested in joining Transfer to Tiger as an incoming meeting mentee, you can scan it and fill out the interest form. And thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Cheyenne. Moving right along, next up is Tia.
Hi, thank you. I will present about the first program now. So quickly, I'm going to discuss what is first generation, why the first program is important, and just have a quick conversations around how to support your student and yourselves as they transition to Clemson. Once again, my name is Leticia. I am a first generation student myself. I am the first person in my family to hold a doctorate program, so this work is near and dear to me. And a little fun fact about me, I'm a beginner runner. I just ran my first half marathon. You can go to the next slide. Thank you. The first program began in 2006 with the 5-year National Science Foundation grant, but in 2012 it has expanded to support students outside of the STEM. Currently, last year we had 3,400 students who identify as first generation students. So as your students are filling out FAFSA, if they are the first in their family to attend college, we strongly encourage you as they're filling out their FAFSA to note that on their application so that we can also know who they are once they get to campus as well. So, like I mentioned, a first generation students, the way we define it here at Clemson is any student whose parents or guardians do not hold a degree from a 4-year institution. So even if the parent or guardian attended a 2-year and received their associate degree, your student will still be considered a first generation student, as well as if they have any siblings. So if they have an older sibling who attended school, they're still part of that first generation line. So they'll still be considered first generation student. So in 2025, we had 64,000 students apply to Clemson. 5,000 of them were new students, and out of those 5,680 of those students were first generation students. So last year, 13% of the incoming class was first generation students. In this incoming class, we're going to have the highest number of first gen students. I just don't have that number yet because we don't know once they get here till August. Our purpose is to serve as a guide and a safe place for first gen students. So first gen students are navigating through a lot, trying to figure out who they are, where their place is on campus. So we offer programming, a student lounge for them in Brackett Hall to help build a sense of community and for them to meet other first gen students on campus as well. So let's have a quick chat, parents, around what it's like supporting your first gen students from far and the resources we have for them here on campus as well. So, your first generation students are going to be navigating a whole lot. They're going to feel some imposter syndrome. Some of them are going to feel like they don't belong on campus or they got in by accident. They don't deserve to be here. I want you to remind them that their hard work in high school is what got them here, and that their work matter. They're going to feel homesick, especially the first 6 weeks being away from home, because for some of them, it's going to probably the first time they're going to be away. They might be vocal about it or they may not. So as you talk to your students, I want you to ask them how they're doing, what resources they're getting involved in, and remind them to attend all the Welcome Week events the first 6 weeks so they can build community and feel a sense of belonging. Clemson is going to be a new territory for them. Even as a staff member, it was intimidating to navigate Clemson, all those hills and all the buildings, trying to learn things. So remind them to branch out, ask questions, and do not be scared to ask for help because this is a new territory and it is completely normal to feel a little bit lost. It's going to be a lot of hidden curriculum. So it's not like high school where they're in that algebra class or that biology class where they know the teachers, they understand what the teachers are asking for them. There are going to be unwritten rules about how to talk to professors, going to office hours, or even understanding the syllabus. So making sure that they understand that they're not the only one experiencing those things and asking them to go to the resources and help them to manage their time. Casey, you can go to the next slide. Some of the campus support that we have for first gen students is the FIRST program. So the FIRST program essentially is a space, is an organization where students can be in community. Like I mentioned earlier, we have the lounge in Brackett Hall. We also have a group me where students can ask questions, they can make friends and all that nature. They can also get leadership skills through that as well. We also partner up with our Academic Success Center where they can get tutoring, academic coaching. We encourage your student to use those very early, not just when they're failing behind. The GAN Center for Student Experience is where they can find ways to get involved, they can gain leadership skills, and continue to build community. Adjusting is going to be hard, so the CAPS resource is something that students can use for mental health support. It is available to them, and reminding your student it's completely normal to engage and use. We also have student care and outreach. So student care and outreach is also here to support your student in case of an emergency. As faculty and staff, if we notice or hear about something around about your student, we always can put a care report in, but other people can do that as well for them. So what can you do from home? I encourage you to stay connected with your student, check in with them, but let them lead the conversation. Ask them what's the best part of their week instead of how are your grades. Normalize the struggle if they sound overwhelmed or try not to panic as parents. Help reframe the conversation by asking them what resources they have used on campus. Help them to understand to trust the process and the institution. Like I mentioned, this is new territory, so encourage them to get involved, especially during the first 6 weeks. I strongly encourage them to participate in things that happen on campus the first few weekends here. Send care packages if you're able. So even if it's a teddy bear, a blanket, or something they left at home, or their favorite cookies, or a letter, please send them care packages and remind them that you care about them. Try to remember their friends. They're going to meet a lot of new people. Try to remember them and check on those people as well. Celebrate the small wins. So they're going to take their first exam in college. They're going to eat at the dining hall for the first time. They're going to go to their first football games. Celebrate all of their first. You see what I did there? Their first. Okay. Okay. Cool. 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 Come visit if you can. I encourage you to come and explore Clemson community at large, take pictures and create new memories with your students. And as parents, this is going to be new for you as well. Make sure you take care of yourself during that transition. Practice self-care so that students can see that you're practicing self-care so they can do it as well. Talk to people in your own communities around the transition and also know that we also here to support you as your student transition through Clemson. Oh, and that's all. We are located in Brackett Hall in Serene as well. This is my email address and phone number, and I'm here to support as your student transition through.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Tia. Next up, here to share all things connections is Michaela.
Hello again, everyone. As Casey stated, my name is Michaela, and excited to share with you all a little bit more about the Connections program. Just like my peers have stated, we have so many resources on campus to help support students as they're coming into the university. And one of those specific areas that doesn't necessarily have a target audience, but just for those students who are looking for a deeper level of community is our Connections program. And it is what it sounds like. The goal is to get students connected, connected to other peers, connected to staff members, connected to their mentors, friends, any way that they want to get connected. Our goal is to support students in that way. And so our community capitalizes on community. We want students to experience belonging. We want them to gain networking skills and to develop as leaders and in their confidence. That's one of those are all of our major goals of the Connections program. We do all of those things in a few different ways. And so we have 5 pillars that guide us in our programming. And so that's support network, personal development, campus involvement, academic engagement, and culture of service. And these are 5 things that we feel like are truly helping our students with this idea of building meaningful connections. And so we do those. Some of the ways that we do that is our annual Connections retreat, which is a big favorite for a lot of our students. Some of the students have said it's been an amazing event that left everyone feeling closer than when we first arrived. Some students said they had so much fun and they made a lot of friends. And even just from attending this first retreat, they knew that they had some people that they can depend on. And I think as family members, as guardians, that's what we want for our students, is to make sure they are surrounded by people who they know that they can depend on in their campus life. And it's an amazing thing to know that very early on, even when just arriving to campus. One really cool aspect of the Connections program is that we have a living learning community. And so, in short, you've probably seen that in your housing portal, but that stands for LLC. Well, that it's short for LLC. And all of our first year incoming students live in our living learning community, which is really nice because there is a basement portion where we hold class. And I'll talk a little bit more about EDSA 3900 and CU 1010. But class is held down there. It's almost a space for students to build connections. And so that's really what that space was renovated for. We have a pool table down there. There's a kitchen. And so really just a space and atmosphere for students to be in community. Outside of their academic space. Every incoming student in the Connections program is matched with a peer mentor. We do our matching system based off of academics, what's the major, if there's similar majors. We also do matching based off of things like, I'm a really introverted incoming student and I want to be matched with an extroverted incoming student who is super involved, who is in all the clubs and organizations, and I want that as well. And so all of our mentors have to maintain above a 2.5 GPA. And so they are super involved on campus, and their academics also are superb. And so we pick mentors who are truly going to help your students feel right at home. With that, every single first year student also must enroll in CU 1010. CU 1010 is our first year course that is held in the basement, and it's just a transition course. We bring in different campus partners and faculty and staff across the campus to chat with your students. We have the Office of Major Fellowships that will come visit, and study abroad. So many different offices will come and chat with their students, and give them a lot of those resources, and ways of support to help them reach all of their goals and all of the things that they want to do. Field Day is another one of our annual events that is a wonderful, fun time. And so another way just to get your students connected. We have monthly events, and then as well as our monthly events, we have Get Connected, which I'll talk a little bit about later. If this sounds like something that you're interested in, there's a QR code at the top that we would love for you or your students to scan. And our applications are live on TigerQuest through August 24th. I talked a little bit earlier about our Get Connected. So we do have monthly events. We have a newly designed game where it's taken from the We're Not Really Strangers game, if you've heard of it. And the goal of it is for every single student to meet as many students in the Connections program as possible. So if your student is in Connections, they will not be able to say that they have not met anyone, that they have not been able to grow, they have not been able to develop, because they truly are. We have modified questions that help them learn a little bit more about the folks around them, and even themselves. And there are themes to go with our events to help them understand the purpose of meaningful relationship making, support networks, and social capital. Additionally, office hours are encouraged for our mentors and mentees to engage in community between classes in the Gantt Center. I'm going to ask Casey to hit play on this if she can in a second. But one of our major things in Connections is not only to connect students with one another, but one of the major goals that we have is for our students to also be connected beyond the Connections program. And we have one of our students, and I can't believe 4 years has gone by so quickly, but this video was just recorded. And one of our students who was a freshman in Connections 4 years ago has now graduated, and she talks a little bit about what it's like to be in Connections and move forward.
Program will help me begin to learn more about myself as a Clemson University student. I'm really excited to grow, to learn, and to start a new journey here. So after I was a mentee, I became a Connections mentor, which then led me to become an orientation ambassador, which then led me to Welcome Week.
Yes, so Bailey Carey, she was such an amazing student. And she really embodies this. And this story is so relevant and true and resonates for so many of our students in the Connections program, who started off as a mentee in Connections, and because of their mentor or because of someone that they met, they wanted to be involved in various areas of campus. And so Bailey ended up becoming the vice president of Welcome Week, which is a huge deal. And even her orientation ambassador experience, her mentor was an orientation ambassador. And so we really encourage getting our students involved, learning leadership skills, and growing in skill, purpose, and in Connections and beyond. Our last slide. This is a little bit what our Get Connecteds look like. And so these are our students getting connected, meeting some folks. That's our goal, is for our students to learn, to grow, and to make meaningful connections.
All right. Thank you, Michaela. Just gonna pause here. I know we threw a lot of content at you all, and so if there are questions that have come up since then, certainly welcome to take a moment and send those in. Would certainly echo what Michaela shared about Bailey. Bailey, who just graduated, was certainly a rock star all over campus, and did a lot of great things that I think she would say really started with her foundation in Connections. The other thing I would offer, just as an observation, I think about all of our presenters' content tonight, is this idea of peer mentorship. So there are many a resource, many a place on campus. A lot of us who are really committed to helping both you and your student really feel connected and feel prepared to thrive here on campus. But there's nothing quite like having that support in someone who is right there along with you, sharing your same experience. And so I think both for transfer programs, for the first program, and for connections, um, certainly not lost on me that that was a core element of each of those programs. And so wherever you may find yourself, wherever your student may be leaning or maybe find that place to plug in, would certainly just encourage them to look for opportunities like that. Always want them to come and see us and to look to us for a resource. But we also are always going to make sure that they have a fellow student who has been in their shoes, who understands their lived experience, and can help walk alongside them through that process for sure. All right, I'm going to check our questions here. A couple questions about some class things. Michaela, do you mind clarifying CU 1010?
Yeah, so I see JC's comment first, and then I'll get to Hope's question. So students can participate in connections in the aspect of our monthly events. And so our events are open to anyone. We want as many students as possible to be connected. If you aren't enrolled in the connections program, you will miss out on the aspects of having a mentor who is also in the connections program, the class element, which is CU 1010, and then our connection specific events like our annual retreat. And so you can participate connections in the area of attending events that are large scale, but things that are more tailored to the connections program are only for connection students. I hope that answers your question, Jacia. And then Hope, CU 1010 is a yes, it's for first year students who want to be in the connections program. I think a lot of times that gets confused with CU 1000, which is a course that every single first year student must take. But CU 1010 is specifically in my wheelhouse, and all students in the connections program must take CU 1010.
Awesome, thank you. And then a question here about transfer students and advising. Cheyenne, any thoughts you have there?
I can try my best to answer this question.
Yeah.
If somebody knows more about advising than me, feel free to help. But I think the way that it works at Clemson is that you are assigned your advisor after you complete orientation. Um,
Yes.
and then that academic advisor will give you your registration pin and help you register for classes. I'm not sure when that process begins,
Yeah.
but that is what I know.
Yep. No, that's perfect. Yeah, so good question. I'm seeing the other one come in. We can address that as well. So your student as a transfer student goes through the same incoming student, new student orientation process as incoming first year students. And so Cheyenne is correct. You have probably heard and seen perhaps some information come out about the orientation process for your student. A piece of that is their virtual orientation platform. Cheryl, if we can share the link to the main orientation site, I think that could be helpful as well to kind of outline the steps. Essentially, when they complete that academics module of that virtual orientation platform, that is what lets academic advisors know to begin reaching out into that process. Those conversations with an academic advisor could be happening at any time throughout the summer. So that's a piece of that gets a little bit tricky. It's not super sequential necessarily. But that is the advising conversation that happens prior to course registration, which happens a few times throughout the summer. Let's see. Yes, I saw a question about a certain amount of classes being held. Generally speaking, there is a kind of a staggered seat release process that happens. And so knowing that some students will not have the opportunity to um, uh, whether they're coming in as a bridge student and haven't fully bridged over, whether they're coming in with some credits that aren't fully in later on. We know that that process may happen later in the summer. And so there are seats in classes that are intentionally held off until that point. So if this is sounding like a process that your student is not currently engaged in, that's totally fine. We have students who are in that situation and end up kind of completing that process either later in July or for some folks early August. And so no worries there. A couple questions, yes, about the orientation process. Again, I think we're going to share that in the chat. The best place to start would be to go and look at the orientation website to just kind of understand what process, what pieces are involved in that process. The other thing I would say is that your student sees what is expected of them in terms of completing orientation on their admitted student portal. So if they navigate to their admitted student portal, there's a tab on there that says orientation with some checklist items. And that also has buttons that come out to the virtual orientation platform that I've mentioned, a place to sign up for the orientation process. Anything else that's sort of outstanding for them as a checklist item, they're going to be able to see in their admitted student portal. JC, I see your question as well about the advisors reaching out. This is kind of the part that gets a little, again, there's not necessarily a rhyme or reason depending on what college your student is entering into. Our advisors are in truly peak season right now, trying to get students set up for the fall. And so depending on what their kind of advising loads are like, depending on, again, how many advisors maybe are working with that particular major or college, depends on what that timing will be. We do have course registration coming up here in June. Cheryl, if you don't mind sharing those dates as well. And then another week in July, and again, a couple of those days in August. So if the closer that we near that period, I would say that if your student has still not heard back, it would definitely be a good idea to reach out. You are also welcome to reach out to either us, we'll put our email in the chat, cufamilies@clemson.edu, or the orientation office. We'll put that email in the chat as well. Sometimes we are able to help kind of track down maybe the lead advisor for that college or some other representative that may be a good contact to make sure that your student is working with the correct person. I'll also highlight the couple other of the videos that Michaela mentioned in her presentation are linked there in the chat, as well as a previous Tiger Talk. So we recently held what we call our Calling Clemson Home Tiger Talk webinar that featured university housing, dining, parking, and transportation, and then also the Office of Advocacy and Success, excuse me. So Cheyenne mentioned earlier that office as a resource for off-campus housing, and they just did a full overview of what that process looks like and what continuing or transfer students can expect. So shameless plug, go watch the May 27th webinar for all details entailed in the off-campus housing process. Looks like that orientation email is now in the chat if you all have more questions about that specific process, or if your student wants to verify that they've done kind of their side of things, certainly would encourage you all to reach out to that staff. They are in the midst of some in-person sessions and a little bit of chaos right now, so give them some grace on a response time, but they are also very quick about getting back to you. All right, I think we have made it through our questions here. Thank you, panelists, for helping field those. Just going to give us a couple final reminders as we near the end of our time. So I mentioned at the beginning that this session is being recorded and it will eventually make its way onto the Clemson Parent and Family Experience portal. If this is the first time that you are seeing this, if this is a new tool to you, would love to just also plug this platform itself. We will share that link in the chat as well. My hope and my guess is that you are already in the portal. We do our best to kind of do a pretty seamless handoff with enrollment management. So when your student decides they want to come to Clemson, we put you all in what we call the 2026 Parent and Family Orientation Community. So the portal is what we use broadly for all family communication, Clemson news that comes out, campus programs or policies that are going to impact your students, as well as some family-specific content. So that goes to all parents and families in the portal. But we also know that there's a lot of that is super pertinent to you right now as your student is transitioning into Clemson for the first time. So you maybe are in that community. If not, super easy way to get connected. But we post content there a couple times a week. Have been doing that since early May, and will continue on through August with some reminders throughout that first semester as well. So we've got a community for, again, all of you who are supporting our new students. There is also a first generation families community in that portal. And so definitely a couple of good places to be connected to as a resource. This is where we will send out all of those recordings. And then again, you can also find those on the Clemson Family Programs YouTube page as well. A couple of quick plugs here for our upcoming session. So again, all of our session descriptions as well as the links to register are on our website. So if you go to the center's website, look at that family orientations tab and scroll all the way down, you'll see the drop-down menus for each of those sessions. Our next one is all about well-being. Tia mentioned CAPS in her presentation. We will have some folks from that office who will come and talk all about what is available for your student in terms of their physical and mental well-being. And then we've got a few other sessions coming up here. So all things financial aid and financial student services, some time to talk through our military connected students and families, time in July, all about student life. So Michaela, Tia, and I all represent an office that does a lot of things. We're going to spend some time talking more about the student involvement piece of that Cheyenne also mentioned in her presentation. Family Weekend registration opens on July 15th. It will be hosted on that same portal that I keep telling y'all about. And so want to make sure that you all have the information that you need to understand that process. So we'll have that session. We have a group of parent volunteers, so current parent and family members who make up the Clemson Family Ambassador Board. We're going to spend some time hearing from them and their experiences. Would certainly encourage you to join us for that one. And then as we go into August, our next steps for success session will feature a few of the offices that we have mentioned here tonight as well. So the Academic Success Center is present there. We are going to talk all through weeks of welcome, as Tia mentioned. So we have a lot of programming in place for your student once they are actually here on campus. We understand that transition does not magically happen because it's the first day of class, and there is certainly work to be done after that. So we'll talk through weeks of welcome, the Academic Success Center, and then also some upcoming fall semester opportunities from the Center for Career and Professional Development. So those are the highlights. Again, the full descriptions as well as which departments you can expect at each of those will be present there on our website. But that about wraps us up for our time tonight. So thank you all again for joining us. Appreciate you all spending some minutes with us at the end of the day. Hope that it was helpful. If we can be of further assistance or answer any questions, again, always welcome to contact us at cufamilies@clemson.edu. And would also just say a note of appreciation. We know that this is a hectic time. There's a lot going on, and I imagine that there are so many layers of trying to process that information and help your students process that as well. So would just say congratulations, you're doing a wonderful job, and we are looking forward to welcoming you into the Clemson family. Thank y'all so much. Have a great night. Go Tigers.